Hey, and we are back. So we have a very special guest. We've got my friend Sherrif Karamat with PCMA, and you are a veteran of the show, actually.
Thank you.
So,
Actually, yes, I'm glad you.
a lot of our guests are new, but
Mm,
you've been on the show before.
I know.
So, if you want to go back and look at some of our archived episodes, you can find the episode that Sheriff was on. But we're going to talk about some new stuff. There's a lot of changes going on at PCMA, and I think our
Sure.
audience wants to know some of what's going on
Yeah.
and the new exciting stuff that you're working on.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me back, Alex. I guess I must have done something right that you called me back. Either that or no one was coming to the show, and I know that's not true. So, but I'm delighted to be here. There is a lot going on. I want to talk about something a little bit more serious first, and
Yeah.
that is that, you know, what we do is important, but why we do what we do is even more important. And I'm really a tireless crusader of the impact that business events have on communities worldwide, and so I'm a big advocate for us to start transforming and focusing on why we do what we do instead of just focusing on what we do on a daily basis. Um, Business events change communities, change people's lives, improves their socio and economic status in society. And this is so important. And it's important to understand the role that we play in facilitating and making that happen. So, um, uh, as in terms of PCMA, we're taking a bigger look, a deeper look on what that means for how we educate, train, and network.
Hmm.
And and that leads me to an exciting new launch that we did yesterday right here at IMEX called Beam. It is a data service, but I want you to think about this and insights and how we make decisions based on insights and the type of decisions that needs to be made. And Beam, if you think of a pie,
Hmm.
a pie has many slices, but just let's say the pie has 12 slices, right? And in this world that we live in, everybody owns one of the slices. What Beam is doing is bringing together all those slices so you can see a holistic view of our industry, a holistic view on any aspect of the industry, not from just one angle. And it overlays your data on top of a larger sum of data so you can get a deep dive into your own customers and your own business, and then a bigger dive into, a bigger dive into trends and things impacting your business.
I love that idea of the why, right? And I think one of the unique things since you came on, and for anyone who watched the PCMA convening leaders or was at convening leaders or watched the live stream, I think you saw kind of hints at where you were going there because it was different this year. You could feel it. I watched the live stream and I could go on and on about the incredible content, but that stream of that, there was always that question,
Yeah.
right? Of that why are we doing what we do?
Yeah.
And I think that I love that there was, it was going somewhere, right?
Yeah.
To hear the new things that you're working on.
Yeah, and we have to answer that because we should not be doing stuff. We should not be doing things for the sake of doing them, right?
Right.
We shouldn't. We all have to be purpose driven. We when people get together, they solve very complex issues, complex problems, but they also break down barriers. We gain common ground,
Hmm.
and this is what we do every day.
Yeah.
Um, and we don't focus on that. We focus on maybe most of the mundane things, and I think that's part of why we don't attract the best talent in our industry. We attract, we don't attract. There is no reason why someone shouldn't find the business events industry as exciting an opportunity and a place to work in as in the banking or the high tech or the aeronautics or the medical field.
Yeah.
This is, by the way, I absolutely don't believe that medical science alone will cure diseases.
No.
It takes data, it takes people, it takes coming together. And all those things together is how we're going to solve.
Well, and you must have been reading my mind because the next thing I was going to say is, since joining the industry, sometimes I hear, "Oh, well, we're not curing cancer." Well, the people who attend our events and our meetings are curing cancer. And it's important that they're able to meet face to face and share ideas and share that data and all that information. So I think you're right that when it comes to the industry as a whole and attracting talent, we have to be proud of the work that we're doing, right?
Yeah.
We should be proud that the people who are changing these complex things in the world and making a difference, they're doing it at our meetings.
Well, we're facilitating it. We're making it happen. We're designing the experience can actually achieve those outcomes. And I think that we should be proud, but the reason why we haven't been proud in the past, because unless people understand why things happen, if you're doing a routine job every day and you're doing one facet of it and you don't understand why you're doing it, I can see that being difficult. When you understand that what you do is impacting a higher purpose, there's so much more meaning to that.
Yeah.
And there's so much more excitement in wanting to come to work the next day, because you know you're contributing to something else that's much larger than oneself.
Right. And I think as we look at the future of the industry also, you look at Gen Z and these there's always the stereotypes about these generations, but I think it's true. One of the things about this upcoming generation is they are very purpose-driven, and they want to do something that's going to be meaningful in their lives for work. And so when you pair that with the meaningful impact that we in the meetings industry have, I think we're going to be able to attract some of that talent.
We are. I mean, we are simply in the best industry in the world. What we do matters. That the younger generation is looking to us with excitement. I think there's still one disconnect that we've got in society in general with the business event space, and that is today you cannot go into any college and think of business event as a profession.
No.
And still, even though there's graduate programs now, and most of our programs, even today, are around the hospitality lens. It doesn't talk about brand. It doesn't talk about engagement. It doesn't talking about growing organizations, building community and engagement. We don't, but that's what we do.
Yeah.
And so shame on us. I'm not in this role, or I'm not in this business to blame other people for why things are not happening.
Right.
We've got to be accountable ourselves to make that change. So my goal in life is that we've got to take accountability and responsibility to make the change, not depend on other people to do it for us.
Yeah.
There's so many of us here at IMEX, so many of us that goes to convening leaders. We need to make that change.
Well, and I'm glad that you mentioned that idea of like not knowing that this was even an industry you could go into, because when I was in high school, I was planning conferences. I was planning international conferences with my youth group.
Yeah.
But no one told me I could do that as a job.
You didn't think of it.
And I didn't think of it.
Yeah.
And so I went to school in undergrad and I studied film, and then I left and I decided that wasn't what I wanted to do. I was looking for the next thing. And at that point in my career and at that point in my life, I started to be able to see that there were these other careers out there. And I was like, well, I really loved doing that. Let me go back to that. And that's why I got my master's degree. But you're right. When it comes to people in high school who could potentially see this as a career opportunity, they don't even know it's a possibility.
No, they don't know it's a possibility, and frankly, our industry does not do recruitment at these universities and colleges.
No.
On the campuses on a yearly basis. There's always the banking, financial services, technology industry that would do recruitment, and no one. So, I think that rests on us, and we're the ones that have to make the change on our approach. There's something, and I think this is also, this is such an exciting industry to be in. It's so much fun. We accomplish so much that sometimes people actually want to keep it a secret. and so, and it sounds counterintuitive. You want more people to come in. But it is really, it was in what I wouldn't say the old days, if you're a supplier to the industry, and you knew all these great clients, you wouldn't want to tell them where those great clients were because you wanted to keep it to yourself. I think that's the secret. I fell into this industry myself, and it's an embarrassment that I fell into this industry, because when I was in high school, I, like anyone, I wanted to be a doctor, a lawyer, or something. And then when I started going to university and graduate school, I wanted to be a CMO for a football team. Yeah. And so my career path was just very different, and then I fell into this industry. So I have a lot to be thankful for, but I also now, I think that I have a responsibility to just not just give back, but make aware of the opportunities that lie within. And it's going to happen.
Well, and I love that because I don't think there's a single event professional that I've ever talked to who can disagree with the statement that their families have no idea what they do, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And
Still. Isn't that a shame, right?
No matter how much you explain it. And there was a great quote that I remember growing up that, you know, from the inside looking out, you can never explain it, and from the outside looking in, you can never understand it.
Yeah.
And that shouldn't be the case with our industry. It's not that complicated what we do,
Yeah.
but there's still this. You're right. There's a disconnect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's also many facets. So if you think of the business events industry as a meta industry that overlays on top of every other industry,
Mhm.
because it touches so many diverse industries,
Right.
it's very easy to say that, oh, well, you're in the car manufacturing industry. But guess what? Events are a key catalyst to drive success in the car manufacturing industry, right?
Mhm.
You get together, you talk about, you discuss, you test, you innovate, you change, you grow. It happens when we meet,
Right.
right? And the best part of meeting and learning and engaging is that you and I can be experts on something, right?
Mhm.
And but when you throw out your expert idea and there's 10 people in a room, what we do is we build upon that idea and say,
Yeah.
oh, Alex, but you know, we could have had this and we could have had that, and how about this? And you would say, oh, that's a bunch of crazy ideas, or wow, there's a nugget here,
Mhm.
and what can we do with that?
Yeah.
And this is how we grow and learn. This is what we do when we meet. This is
Mhm.
what we do. And I honestly, I don't even like the word meeting anymore. I think it's almost a bad word. I like the idea that there are outcomes of meetings,
Yeah.
and real outcomes, and so shifting, and that mindset of shifting from holding an event to focusing on the outcomes of why you have that event, which then leads me to something else. It leads to designing with intent,
Mhm.
right? So when you talk about trends and things like orchestrated serendipity, and if I think of orchestrated serendipity, how do I design an event that I will collide with Alex when I come to that event?
Yeah.
It's important because when we collide with each other, if you come to an event like this that's got 15,000 people, I'll tell you, it's very intimidating.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And it's intimidating for anyone, even seasoned professionals. So how do I do that where I actually can collide with an Alex, knowing that I want to collide with an Alex, but I don't know how to do it?
Yeah.
It's so designing with intent and purpose that would address the outcomes of the event is so important.
Yeah, and I think, you know, this is not the first time that I've heard that from you guys and from PCMA. You have two big conferences. You have Convening Leaders in January, but you also have Education Conference in June. And I've been to that conference 3 times, and that orchestrated serendipity, and that is a very unique conference in that it's a smaller size, but it feels extremely intimate. You feel like you get to know everyone who's there, and I think that intentional design of that event is extremely exceptional. And you know, it's coming up in June. It's coming up next month.
Yeah.
Can you give us a few?
Well, first and foremost, it's going to be in LA. It's June 23 to 25 in LA. I hope you all can join us. Of course, we limit attendance because of what you just said, Alex, is to create intimacy. Not that you can't have large conferences and be intimate, but this event really focuses on a few key areas. The design is very intentional. We've got these studios that focuses on a whole bunch of things, but I want to touch on something, and that is that which we launched last year. It's about inclusion. I believe, we believe, that there's no diversity without inclusion. And so first we start with inclusion. And there is nothing greater and greater impact on outcomes when you're inclusive.
Mm-hmm.
When you're inclusive, not just about race and sexual orientation, but ideas and people with special abilities, for example.
Yeah.
And so you bring so one of the things that's going to be is talking about leadership, talking about inclusion, talking about what that does for growth of communities, for individuals. We're going to have some great networking.
As always.
As usual. Yeah. And especially, I want to do, I'll tell you a little story that happened regarding the conference, and that is Black Entertainment Television asked us to move a few days.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, they're going to help us with some entertainment.
Oh, yeah.
So it's going to be even more fun. So we're going to have a lot of fun in LA.
Well, I think we'll leave you with that little that tidbit of a little surprise to expect at Education Conference. This was an incredible discussion. I love that idea of talking about these things that we don't always talk about in this industry. So we appreciate your perspective, and thank you for being here with us today.
Alex,
and,
thank you so much for having me.
It's always great to have you on the show. You're always welcome. And we've got some other great guests coming up, so thanks so much.
Thank you, and have a great rest of your show.